Some MMA fights can leave you with your jaw on the floor, be it from a high-paced fight or an all-out war, or sometimes just because you can't believe what you're seeing.
Oh, this is so entertaining to me.
This is fantastic.
This video focuses on the latter. Not all fights are created equal, and this video aims to prove it. These are some of the worst fights in MMA. In 2001, Mirko began his MMA career. Known as one of the most dangerous strikers in kickboxing, finding opponents was a tough task as no one wanted to fight him. But at Pride 17, Nobuhiko Takata stepped up, or should I say, sat down. Throughout the fight, Takata would repeatedly sit down to avoid getting kicked by his opponent. Krokop is known for his brutal kicks, so Takata did everything he could to avoid them. Takata flopped to the mat 25 times in 15 minutes, giving his buttocks one heck of a pounding. Krokop was visibly frustrated throughout the fight and refused to touch gloves in the 5th round. After 15 minutes of little to no action, the bout was over. And since no judges decided to score the fight, the match was declared a draw. Takata suffered several injuries during the fight, including a broken foot, a bruised ego, and a sore anus. At Rizin 13, Bob the Beast Sapp took on former sumo fighter Osamu. Sapp, coming off an impressive 17-fight losing streak, was expected to stop, drop, and tap out at the first sign of any trouble, as per usual in any Sapp fight.
Hey, stop!
Oh, Sapp is tapping.
Shockingly, Sapp withstood Osamu initial onslaught of punches. Osamu, who was making his MMA debut, went with the age-old strategy of completely emptying his gas tank in the first 30 seconds of the fight.
Oh, monstrous punches already by Osamu. Bob Sapp already covering up. We got ourselves a fight, ladies and gentlemen.
With skill and technique already thrown out the window before the fight even began, both fighters had to rely on instinct alone. Unfortunately, they had none.
I don't know what to say about Bob's face when he throws punches.
Anticipating both fighters would gas out early in the fight, the promotion modified the rules by reducing the rounds from 5 minutes to only 3, although it didn't seem to help matters.
2 minutes, he can barely stand up with Osamu. Bob Sapp barely has the strength and stamina to finish him. He can't even go in there to throw the punches. His opponent is almost knocked out standing up. He's got nothing.
As both fighters begrudgingly answered the bell for the final round, both seemed to mutually agree to take a 30-second break midway through the 3rd round.
Wow.
I have never, in my 20 years plus of mixed martial arts, seen something like this, where an opponent is basically out on his feet and his opponent cannot go in there and finish him off.
This is incredible. Okay, so still running a heart attack happening.
With even the referee growing as restless as the fans, a yellow card was issued to both fighters, automatically deducting 10% of their fight purse.
He's like, I don't care, I'll take the yellow card, it's fine.
The penalty lit a fire inside both fighters as they mustered what little energy they had left to close their fists and wildly flail their arms towards each other.
But a left hook landed there by Osamu. Bob Sapp went in there, covering up, big punch thrown, another one thrown there. And that is it.
While the fans lost, Sapp was declared the winner, earning his first victory in 8 years. Osamu, on the other hand, has since been released from the company. The UFC has always been an industry leader when it comes to finding the top talent in the world. So it was no surprise when the UFC signed former WWE wrestler CM Punk.
It backfired. And CM Punk is in danger. Punk taking out Lesnar.
Punk lost his UFC debut after submitting to welterweight fighter Mickey Gall in the 1st round.
Just like that.
So for his 2nd fight, matchmakers worked tirelessly around the clock to find an opponent more suitable for Punk, someone at or around the same skill level. After rigorously searching both Facebook and Twitter, they found Mike Jackson, a podcaster, blogger, and sometimes fighter.
And I hadn't been training MMA on the ground for about 2 years, you know?
After years of training with Duke Rufus, one of the top coaches in the world, Punk finally got to show off everything he learned under the legendary trainer at UFC 225.
Wild and open with those punches. Yeah, and that's where he's got to have a problem. He's getting real loose with his hands too, real sloppy. Too many people watch Rocky movies. Yeah.
Jackson, seemingly the more skilled of the two, peppered his opponent throughout the fight.
Oh, that hurt him. That's a big right hand.
Although dominant during the fight, Jackson never showed any urgency to finish off his opponent, refusing to put full power in his punches and displaying some of the most lackadaisical ground and pound ever seen.
Jackson not in any rush or urgent to try to get Punk out of there.
Jackson was taking it so easy on his opponent that UFC commentator Joe Rogan joked that Jackson could have been bribed to carry Punk to a decision.
Look, if I was a conspiratorially minded man, I would think that someone paid Mike to keep this fight going for 3 solid rounds.
Jackson won the fight by unanimous decision, but received an extraordinary amount of criticism, mostly from UFC president Dana White.
I don't know what that guy did for a living before we gave him the shot, but whatever it was, he needs to go back and do that again. I got the sense that he's a complete fucking idiot, and I couldn't wait for that fight to end, and I regretted not putting it on Fight Pass.
Ever wonder what happens when you put a 220-pound fighter against a 50-year-old grandmother of 4? Always stepping up to fight top competition, Gabby Garcia's third fight since her debut in 2015 was against Yumiko Jota, a geriatric part-time fighter and full-time grandmother. Jota hadn't won an MMA fight in 16 years, so naturally she was the obvious matchup to fight the undefeated Gabby Garcia.
That's the worst Japanese freak show I've ever seen, because that was a woman who did not belong
I'll say
at
this,
all.
that's the worst fight I've ever seen.
Yeah.
The fight went as expected. Jota started off the fight by running around the ring like a senile old lady.
Striking's got better. Oh, to throw wrestling!
Luckily, Gabby was able to intercept Jota's 4-dimensional movement by landing a big left hand.
What show here is Yumiko Jota. Oh, she's caught!
Jota used her unique brand of footwork to waddle away from her opponent. Unfortunately for her, Gabby used her extensive background in boxercise to swarm with punches, causing Jota to wilt under the pressure just 41 seconds into the fight.
Pound finish, hammer fist, right hands, a referee says that is enough.
Garcia is presently 6-0 as a pro fighter and is currently searching for her next opponent at the Sao Paulo Retirement Village. And a few honorable mentions. Ryan Hall went to the Takata school of can't get hit if you don't stand up.
Crowd getting a little bit restless.
Doctors prescribe 15 minutes of watching Ngannou versus Lewis for patients who have trouble sleeping.
It's funny, leading up to this fight, I said, there's no way this fight can be anything other than chaos. Right. It's definitely possible that I was wrong.
Shamrock versus Severn 2 looks less like a fight, and more like softcore erotica.
Shamrock is in the mount right now, legs outside.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe.